What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 22 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Settra, Great King, the Imperishable, Khemri Kara, the Great King of Nehekara, King of Kings, Opener of the Way, Wielder of the Divine Flame, Punisher of Nomads, the Great Unifier, Commander of the Golden Legion, Sacred of Appearance, Bringer of Light, Father of Hawks, Builder of Cities, Protector of the Two Worlds, Keeper of the Hours, Chosen of Petra, High Steward of the Horizon, Sailor of the Great Vitae, Sentinel of the Two Realms, the Undisputed, and many, many more. Alright, and campaign. So as we saw last time, we had a very close call as King Alcazar II, our second Chariot Lord, faced off against Arbal the Undefeated, but really the champions of Khorne in general, because it was Arbal and Skyla Anfingrim and Scar Bloodwrath all at once in a full stack, with all high veterancy troops, plus the Skaven out of Black Gouge here. So it was a close call that saw two of our units of Tomb Guard destroyed, probably not to be replaced as yet. It would be nice to move to a green territory in order to rebuild them so it doesn't take a million turns, but well, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. I mean, in theory we could build them here, but again, it takes 3 turns, so we may as well just global recruit them somewhere else rather than sit here for that long, at least I figure. But anyway, in the meantime, we have declared war on both Zandri and the Cult of Mordig here, so we're about to have a couple of very big fights as soon as we get to them. But let's move everybody where they need to go first, and then we'll deal with it. Now, Wheelrat, I think we can just freely auto-resolve this. It's decisive victory, low casualties. Yeah, there's some nice stuff, but, you know, not nice enough to be worthy of Hakor's attention. And actually, speaking of Hakor, unless I'm mistaken, let me take a quick look here. He's rank 50 now, meaning we can freely apply those points. Alright, so we should get 1 point in Assyrians. Let's max out 5th gen priests. Not that we really need it anymore, but, you know, just so that everybody's the same in that regard. Canopic Jar Hoarder, yes, obviously. Trapped Souls, Embalmed in Elixir, and Ceremonial Bandages. And the stuff that makes them tanky, basically. And then we have 4 points to play around with. Now, here we have Elite Cavalrymen and Sun-Scorched Bones, meaning all of this stuff. We could either get buffs for the 2 units of Ushabti, or the 3 units of Artillery, or that's probably the options. 8% missile strength for 3 range units versus 6 and 6 melee attack and defense for 2 units. I'm once again inclined to say that this is the better buff, though in rare occasions where we would, for example, besiege enemies, the extra ammunition would be really helpful to you too, wouldn't it? And it's not like we have any way to reload here. Alright, fine. Maybe we'll go for the ammunition. I don't think I've seen these guys run out, but I'd rather not risk it. And the other option would be to go 2 into Arrows of SF and 2 into Revered Masonry. That might not be so bad either. Yeah, you know what? Let's do 2 and 2, split it like that. That's not so bad. Alright, and I think I'm happy with this. We don't have maxed out Petras, but we don't use it nearly as much as Joffs and Nerus, and certainly not Sakmats or Usek, so yeah. Alright, looks like we're good. What about the Necrotect? Wait, what buffs Wars? Oh, okay. Khemri and Necrosphinxes, rather. Okay, that's part of the Spring the Trap chain. Let's grab We Are the Elite, because we want that everywhere, and then I guess start moving through Conqueror and Heart to hit. Good. Alright, you're good to go, Hakor. Who's up next? Wakaf. Okay, you're besieging. We're just gonna wait until the fight. Rakash, you have a long, long way to travel. You're going to kill some orcs, because our... oh, you're gonna start suffering attrition here, really? Would it be better to hug the coastline then? We move further or faster not hugging the coastline by going out to sea. Let's think about it. We might be able to avoid a decent amount of the attrition by sort of pseudo doing it, although I don't even save that much. We might save a turn over the course of the entire time, but actually we don't suffer attrition here, so we just do this once and then we'll be good. Yeah. Anyway, Gorbad's taken Blackclaw Lair and the, by the looks of it, formerly Tier 5 settlement belonging to the Order of the Winter Sun, and they're pressuring Citadel of Myrmidia with more enemy armies, and yeah, Gorbad's doing a good job. Good job to the orcs in general, I suppose. Well, good luck to them. At least when our own armies show up. You, Scorpion King, go this way. You're heading out to Malice and Lamash, as I believe nearly arrived in the same place. I would like you to land in Imric's territory. We do have the ability to move there. We won't heal here, but we can heal for a turn and then move into Bitter Grove or find Malice, generally speaking. The top, you are out to sea as well, so keep on going. Go down the center, I guess. Hopefully it doesn't matter. Actually, maybe it does. Go this way. I'm a little bit worried that there might be a land bridge there that the... I remember in the early game I saw a land bridge somewhere here. You know, yeah, I'll just not risk it. Anyway, Khalida, I believe you can't reach the next place. You now no longer have your tomb barks due to all that annoyance with the auto-resolve, but it's all good. We'll replace them with Coatl when we're good and ready, or when we have a minute to stop and, you know, relax. Alright, anybody else need to move this turn, or are we ready to bump into all those big old armies? King Setup, oh, yeah, you can take Sekhmet's Needle, why not? Quick little auto-resolve there, a little bit of damage to us. Maybe we should have stayed in the Great Dynasty's stance, but whatever, too late, and we heal at near maximum anyway, so whatever. Alright, and then you are going to switch to Worship of SF due to the, thanks to the fact that the Zandri faction had this territory. It got really Chaos Corrupted, and we couldn't really do anything about that. Or Chaos Corrupted, Vamp Corrupted, and we couldn't do anything about that. But not to worry. We will decorruptify it in short order. Alright, anybody else? Jocht, you, have you nearly arrived? Not quite yet, but you're getting there. You gotta get to Khemri. I guess you can go through the Canal of Abundance, actually. Alright, like so. Seheket, you are still delivering to Mr. See location of interest? I probably could have grabbed that, but then again, I don't really care. Alrighty. Get your delivery to Kata. Would have been nice to have all of these units for the attack on Zandri, but you'll have them for the army for the presumably final book whenever you get there. Anyway. Do we really need to move Prince Scout? I don't think we do. Prince Temp, though. Well, let's start moving him this way, I guess. Yeah, and go around this way. We gotta get you all the way up to Sartosa, whatever. Scout out a few of these Zandri units near the coastline as well, just to keep an eye on them a little bit, but then go northward. Alright, no siege equipment where? Oh, here? I mean, they'll obviously sally out, but just in case they don't, let's build some siege equipment. Maybe that'll sort of exhort them. And then they'll attack. Alright, I believe we're good to end the turn. Let's see about those big old fights. Alright, there it is, the main stack out of Zandri, and their defenses will indeed sally out, and it looks like the garrison has been sticking around for a little while, having racked up the decent little bit of veterancy, which will make them all that much deadlier for Katep's proper debut. Let's see how he does. Alrighty, is it the dawn of the mortuary cult? I don't know, but it is the dawn of Katep. The DJ has arrived to make music upon the battlefield, and that's not a euphemism, by the way, or is it? Slanesh giggle. And we'll see how Katep does here. 305 armor. Pretty good, you gotta admit. Now, we are outnumbered 2-1, and the enemy has a lot of threatening constructs, which we're going to have to do our best to deal with. How are we going to deal with them? Magic, of course. We have hit one of the enemy Ushabti with Great Bow with a Spirit Leech, as well as a Milkoth's Mystifying Miasma, which does hit fairly hard in SFO, in part because it lasts a full minute, which is quite a bit. Fate of Biuna also will come down. We did need to close the distance, but we did use Sand Veil to make our a Lich Priest, I don't know where he is, oh there he is, a Lich Priest of Death, and put him into stock so that he could get close enough to pop off that Fate of Biuna. And now all of our artillery, magical and mundane, will do their best to focus on those Ushabti. It does also mean that we really need to make use of our Hyro Titans here. They're going to take a beating to all those Ushabti arrows, but with all the resistances that we've added onto them, 32% ward save, 145 armor, 20% physical, and a small amount, 10% missile. That's actually surprising. Giants have 50% missile resistance as a base, and Hyro Titans only have 10%. Am I the only one that's surprised by that? I would think that I don't know, it feels like it might be a little bit less effective to pincushion a big old stone statue than it would be a giant. But I digress. The Giants have, the Hyro Titans have marched forth and are spamming Spirit Leech and Shem's Burning Gaze alike. Again, we gotta get rid of those units of Ushabti with Great Bow, and we can freely ignore everyone else. Fortunately, the little fellas, the Tomb Guard running around below the Hyro Titans' feet, are relatively irrelevant to them, at least right now. And all the damage is mostly going to be coming in from those Ushabti. Fortunately, the Ushabti are down to 3 out of 6, I believe, as we use our non-stop magics from all of our units to obliterate them. Out here, we have cast our first Skullstorm with Katep. I believe he also has a Sandstorm available, and now we've got that Banishment on him as well, from the Crook and Flail of Radiance. So as soon as the enemy blobs up in a nice position, or gets a little bit closer to Katep, because he can't really reposition himself anymore thanks to that cursed armor, and we'll just start on that. That said, even with the fall of the Ushabti, we are still very much outnumbered, though the Tomb Guard I expect will be holding here quite well. Thanks to the war drums that we have been wanting in this particular army, they now give the units of Tomb Guard a gold shield rather than a silver, so they block off 70% of the enemy fire, and they're up to 133 armor, which is pretty darn solid. Alright, well, the Hyro Titans will continue anchoring the line. We do have 5 of them in this army for now, to be brought down to 4. Now, funnily enough, Hyro Titans are, I think... are they the only unit that's fire damage in the Tomb King roster that isn't a Legion unit? I gotta double check, because I guess we'll have to put Hyro Titans in the Petra fire army as well. Assuming we, bother with it. Again, the Petra army and the Contact Effect army are just using units that we're already using in other armies, but in different combinations. At this point, every single unit in the roster is used in one army or another to a decent degree. So while we will still build those armies, they're kind of a bonus. Especially since we need the green skulls from Nagashazar tier 5 in order to make the Petra army work, because, again, there's very little in the roster that actually does fire damage. And yes, we can spam the Banners of Eternal Flame. That just doesn't quite do it. Anyway, the Hyro Titan faces off against the Scorpion, the Tomb Scorpion, over on the left and right flank at the same time, but unfortunately for the Scorpions, that's a lot of Spirit Leeches that they're going to have to keep on taking while fighting the Hyro Titans. And the Scorpions are anti-infantry. We've seen what, 3 or 4 Sphinxes trying desperately to kill off a Hyro Titan, and the Hyro Titan is just tanking them, so yeah, gotta be careful there. It looks like a bunch of snakes moved in to try to kill off a war drum, but a Hyro Titan went to intercept them, and after hitting them with a few debuffing spells, they were pretty much destroyed. Enemy Ushabti have closed the distance, or perhaps been summoned upon our unit of Tomb Guard, but the balance of power is starting to move in our favor. And it looks like just as I was looking at the Realm of Souls bar, the summoned unit of skeleton warriors disappeared, and that gave us that little bit of Realm of Souls healing. Isn't it lovely? Might even get the 2nd level, possibly. The 2nd level is such a rarity, and the 3rd level is effectively unheard of for this entire campaign. Haven't gotten a single Ushabti summon yet. We might actually be able to end the campaign without doing it a single time. Which I do think is a shame. It's always nice to be able to, summon a free unit of Ushabti, and ooh, look at the Hyro Titans working together. If I had my way, the entire army would just be Hyro Titans and sepulchral stalkers. But it would be obnoxious. Alrighty, well, let's just keep mincing those Tomb Guard as we can. It's a lot of Tomb Guard, but with the enemy constructs defeated by and large, I don't imagine their Tomb Guard have too much of a chance here. Especially since Hydro Titans do fire damage, as I was saying, and all of these skeleton units are weak to fire damage, which the constructs, I believe, are not. Alright, and okay, there's the summoned unit of Ushabti. Now attempting to surround, I believe, our Lich Priests out here, but that's alright. Well, these guys did pretty well with dealing with the enemy Ushabti. And again, the Spirit Leech spam and the Shem's Burning Gaze spam helped with them. The Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma, because it also reduces reload time, helps counteract a little bit of Ushabti with Great Bow on top of the, you know, sort of damage that it keeps doing. So I guess it was a good choice to use the Lich Priest of Shadows in this particular army as well. Because I was contemplating doing Light and Death to match the Hydro Titans, which are Light and Death. And if we had room in the army, I'd put in a Light Mage in here as well. I just think that since the Shadow Mages are new, that Katep, as the head of the Mortuary Cult, should probably have them. Anyway, the battle is at last very nearly ours. It took a little bit of effort to hold the line, and several of our units of Tomb Guard were beat up pretty badly here. But they'll only get stronger over time, especially considering that they will get their veterancy and their red line buffs and all that stuff. Alright, so with the Tomb Bark support, we're at 42% ward save on the Hydro Titans, which explains why they weren't sniped by the Ushabti with Great Bow, as they had to move towards them while under fire. So all's well that ends well. I was very worried about them considering the extremely slow, basically immovable nature of this army. Katep has basically no movement speed whatsoever, even if he is tanky. He's, I guess, almost like a Hydro Titan himself now. In fact, he's, well, more than twice as armored as one. But anyway, a heroic victory and a great debut for Katep's new army. Alrighty, there we go. A very, very nice debut for Katep, who managed to rack up 480 kills, 67,000 damage, and a much higher damage delta's gold value than you'd think, because he wasn't just firing on the garbage skeleton archers and such, he was also firing on those Ushabti with Great Bow, which, with many a spell, even the slow-moving Hydro Titans wading into the enemy army just to cast a few extra spells at them, plus the repeated casts from Katep's two Lich Priests, who did, let's see, 16,000 and 25,000 damage. We were able to neutralize the major threat of the Ushabti with Great Bow, and thus win the fight. We did take some damage on a fair few of those Tomb Guard, but all worth it at the end of the day. And interestingly, it looks like some of the Nehekaran warriors were actually able to cut down a fair few of these guys. Good for them. Lovely. And I believe we will get the long victory condition. Oh, actually, no. We need the pyramid, not just to occupy Zandri. Unless they've built the pyramid and we immediately get it. I guess we're going to find out. Occupy. Alright, there we are, the Cult of Mordig, with Khalid al-Muntazir, the leader of the faction, 2 additional armies, primarily composed of trash, with of course a fair few ghosties, which we wanted for our own ranks, and the settlement garrison, as well, with Blood Knights and a bunch of other good stuff. And well, I think it'll be a great fight. I'm gonna quick save this, because I kind of don't trust it, generally speaking. The, you know, battles with the giant piles of units have my PC get a little bit angry, and it's worse with the Skaven than it is with the undead, but this is a lot of undead, so you never know. I'd rather not have to fight the previous battle again. Anyway, let's do this. Wakaf, I'm sure, can pull it off just fine. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Walk-Off is at it again this time after that little expedition, the little foray into the realm of Tzinch to pick up one of the books of Nagash and defeat Epidemius. While there, he's going to be dealing with the rest of the Cult of Mordig forces at Bel-Aliad. The enemy has 4 stacks, and they are going to probably use their basic units to tire us out before the elites of the garrison like those Blood Knights make their way in. So we'll see what our ammunition and all of our units look like after they've had to deal with all of this. And we'll see whether Walk-Off can handle it, though I'm thinking that he should do just fine. Anyway, does look like the enemy units of Crypt Ghouls are fast enough to sort of weather the storm, run the gauntlet, and engage with our units of Sepulchral Stalkers. As to whether that's going to go well for them, I doubt it. They could also back off at any point, but we have a little bit of leeway in terms of these guys taking a bit of damage. Again, the Sepulchral Stalkers can fight in melee, and especially with that recover on them. We're at 64-48 melee attack and defense and 100 armor, which is solid. As long as the enemy doesn't have anything heavily armor-piercing, then we should be able to hold the line pretty decently here. And then if we start taking too much damage, or if Graveguard and too many spears start closing, we simply back off a little bit and allow the Tomb Guard to take their place and hold the line instead. And the main reason I actually decided to back off was the Cairn Wraiths had closed the distance with the massive all-armor-piercing damage that they have. They can try to use that up on the Tomb Guard, I guess. And the Tomb Bark with the magical damage should probably help against them in a fair bit. The Kepra Beetles will be doing constant damage to them, and the Tomb Bark itself has magical damage, unlike the Tomb Guard. Lovely. Alrighty, well, this is just the first of the enemy armies. The others are moving on to the battlefield. The Necromancers are keeping very, very far away from Walk-Off, but the first of the enemy vampires has decided to close. Walk-Off's going to just move through his units. There we go, a leaping hit onto the vampire, who loses a quarter of his HP, loses another quarter with his next hit, I imagine. And there we go, what the... Oh, right, the Usirian's Incantation of Vengeance, and down he goes. Beautiful. Alright, easy enough. Why did I use Usirians? I figured that the enemy would attempt to escape, so it wasn't for the damage, it was for the speed reduction. Also, the damage is kind of insignificant on a single unit, so yeah. Anyway, lovely little ward execution for Walk-Off. It does look like we are starting to get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of enemies, so we're going to back off a little bit more while Walk-Off continues to lead the Tomb Guard. And we essentially tried to win the battle on the flanks with our Sepulchral Stalkers and our Skeleton Horse, who still have plenty of ammo. And the Sepulchral Stalkers are starting to run out, but thanks to that roused Sentinels ability we have, we can replenish their ammunition periodically, which is real nice. When this campaign is over, I'm really gonna miss being able to use Sepulchral Stalkers. But what can you do? Anyway, in the meantime, Walk-Off is completely surrounded by enemies, but he's been surrounded by much... Did his sword just disappear and he just randomly punch one of the skeletons? Is that what I just saw? Wait a second. Am I crazy, or did that just happen? It looked like his sword disappeared out of his hand and he punched the skeleton. Huh, okay, no, that time he poked the skeleton with his other sword, but this sword disappeared. Interesting. Well, either way, if it works, it works. The Tomb Guard have, there we go, started to move on in and fill the slots. Not enough gold on them. I think Walk-Off's Tomb Guard need a little bit more gold to match the man. Alrighty, how are we doing otherwise? Oh lord, there's still a lot. Oh my, okay. We have, this battle has just begun by the looks of it, judging by how many units are on the field and how many units have yet to make it onto the field. Over on the left and right flank alike, the enemy is still sending units. We're going to try to make sure we gun down those spirit hosts, as the Sepulchral Stalkers will do magical and damage with their range attacks. And should bring them down pretty quickly here. Spirit Hosts, being a support unit, are fairly fragile after all. I mean, all the ghostly units are going to be very fragile against ranged magical damage after all. Beautiful. Alright, those guys are down, and we split the enemy army up a little bit with a nice skull storm in the midst of their formation, while the Tomb Guard continue holding off, again, all those zombies and skeletons. Been primarily zombies and skeletons, with a few other troops interspersed amongst them here and there, but we do have a lot of Tomb Guard, or Grave Guard rather, that we will have to deal with eventually. That will be coming out of the, I believe, 4th army. Oh, there we go. It looks like several of the Grave Guard have started to make their way onto the battlefield. I saw some of them, I think. Or perhaps they will, I'm not sure. Zombies, skeletons. That was Crypt Horrors over there, and a third Necromancer has joined the ones running around as well. Isn't that cute? And the Vampire of Death is running around. Looks like somebody else for walk up to execute. Down to about half of our ammunition on our skeleton horse now, and oh, there's some Graveguard. And with Cowbirds, mind you, so the enemy tried to pin us in place with those fell bats, as one does. And then send in the Graveguard with Halberds, but unfortunately for the Fellbats, they don't have the mass to keep the Spokal Stalkers pinned, and frankly, those Graveguard are fairly damaged as well, so probably won't be too much of a problem. And the enemy Vampire has disappeared, because I assume Walkoff has already killed him. Yep. Pretty sure that's what happened. No, actually there he is. Or she is, a vampire. It's not a vampire lord, it's a vampire hero, yeah. But I'm sure Walkoff will make his way over here. There he goes. He does get, unfortunately, has a tendency to get stuck in the press, but, you know, you gotta dish out the damage, and the poison application that he has now is actually fairly helpful. Alright, hello, Vampire. Alright, more skeleton warriors move in to block Walkoff off, but only for so long. Alright, he likes to do that leaping attack, I see, and ooh, we are basically out of ammunition on our Spokal Stalkers, though once again they can at least get them back up. And oh, the Vampiress has actually fled the right flank as soon as Walkoff got there, and is moving towards the Lich Priest instead. I'm gonna back him up into our sort of melee line, so that the Tomb Guard can distract the Vampire instead. Walkoff's going to peel out of that right flank where the Necrotect is holding with the Eyes of the Desert and 2 of the units of Spokal Stalkers, and head towards that Vampire. There we go, 1 hit. And 2 hits. Oh, arrow distraction, and was that hit a miss? I guess it was, but the Vampire is down to like 10% of her HP. 1 more, and down she goes. Then there was a Vampire Lord in here as well, though he is already pretty badly damaged in the Tomb Guard. He's a low-ranking one, and a hit or 2 from Walkoff will execute him. Fantastic. Alright, Walkoff's just running around the battlefield executing enemy lords and heroes now, which is working out pretty well. Knott's power is at about 70% in our favor, though the enemy elites, there we go. I see lots and lots of Graveguard moving together. 4 with great swords. We got Karen Knights, we got Blood Knights on the field now. More Crypt Horrors and a Black Coach soon to be on the way. And still haven't gotten anything we could do about all those Necromancers. At the very least, they are providing support to the enemy, which is what you'll want to see in a Vampire army. Gotta love fighting these massive hordes. It's working way too well for us in terms of getting these nice fights. Again, the enemy really should have brought some... they can build mortis engines now. Well, I guess that's probably a new thing that they couldn't do before. Could have at least brought some of those corpse carts. And too bad for them. When the enemy plays Vampire Counts badly, I always take it personally. It makes me want to play the Vampire Counts myself. Although, admittedly, everything makes me want to play Vampire Counts. But anyway, our skeletons are better than theirs, at least in this particular situation, as the Grand Protectors continue to hold the line, racking up plenty of kills, over 300 at this point. And the enemy still being unable to break through them. Alright, over on the right flank, our Necrotect still holds the line with those 3 Spokal Stalkers. With the Necrotect providing them the aura support, they are obviously going to be hitting a little bit harder, being a little bit tankier and all that. Looks like this enemy has decided to send both of the units of Blood Knights to our left flank. Walkoff immediately runs in. He's got a taste. He's got a taste for killing vampires now. And he's going to deal with one of the units while the others get hit with the Sepulchral Stalkers, losing about, by the looks of it, half of their HP in 2 volleys. Lovely. It's a nasty bit of damage from those Sepulchral Stalkers, bringing even the Blood Knights down. Although they haven't lost too many in the way of their models, admittedly. And the other unit is just trying to get away from Walk. I'm going to slow them down with that range fire. And let's see, they are 60 movement speed. They're significantly debuffed as well because we hit the entire battle line with Zeus. Alrighty, there we go. Who wants to face the desert? And another one falls. The battle is now at about maybe 75%, closing in on 80% in our favor. One unit of Blood Knights is down. We're going to close the distance with the Sepulchral Stalkers to bring down the second. I'm sure Xar is very proud of Walkoff over the course of this campaign. And just a few more hits will bring down the Blood Knights, who are just about out of the picture. Beautiful. Now, the main line is still engaged. Frankly, our main line has been in 500 kills on the Undying Guard here, aptly named. Still 100 units. I'm sure they've lost a unit here and there and then been healed up, though. But anyway, 11 minutes. We've been basically engaged in a non-stop brawl for 11 minutes with our main line. But ever since they moved in to support the Sepulchral Stalkers at the start, they basically haven't moved from the spot. Their king told them to hold the ground, and damn well do they hold ground. And the last arrivals on the field, the slower elite elements of the enemy army, are the Graveguard. Well, elite. Graveguard are still a tier 2 troop, but so are our Tomb Guards, so, you know, even in that regard. On the right flank, we'll get torn apart by our Sepulchral Stalkers, just as those Blood Knights did. And here again with the Eyes of the Desert in the midst of combat and racking up massive amounts of kills and damage, over 100,000 damage dealt on them, thanks to that lovely lethal poison that they have. And the contact effect works really nicely, just like the Venom Knights of Asaph with Khalida, because of their toxic venom. More units you apply that to, more massive amounts of damage you can deal. And there we go, unsurprisingly a heroic victory and a ludicrous mass of vampire counts destroyed. And no crashes either. Lovely. Alrighty, there we go. Absolutely magnificent. King Walkoff cut down, I believe, 2 or 3 of the enemy vampires, was kind of running around to get them, but that's fine. As well as, I mean, if you count them, some of the Blood Knights as well. His kill count wasn't crazy high, but this damage delta's gold value, for example, at 2.1k, is much higher than the Tomb Guard, despite the fact, okay, except this unit of Tomb Guard, despite the fact, okay, except also this unit of Tomb Guard. Some of the Tomb Guard did very well. Well, I mean, they all did very well. 542 kills, 718 on the Guards of Ra, though the damage, by the looks of it, was just slightly higher on the Sepulchre's Sentinels, and their damage delta's gold value was fairly higher as well, probably due to them being in the center and thus being attacked by the Crypt Horrors and thus fighting more elite units, generally speaking. Range fire support throughout the course of the battle was about 20k apiece for all of the units of the Horse Archers, including Biting Sands and Walkoff's Hunters, and all the Sepulchral Stalkers did magnificently. The Eyes of the Desert got over 100,000 damage. These guys actually 93k, 92k, closing in on them as well. Lovely. And then 70k and 66k for the Sneaky Snacks and Solid Stone Snakes. Lovely. Very, very nice work to this army, and obviously will occupy the place. Alrighty, there we go. Now, I do wonder where their other armies went off to, because I'm pretty sure they had at least 2 more full stacks running around out there, and we will have to deal with them at some point, though we'll have to see. Hopefully this place can defend itself, and in that light we'll build up defenses immediately, and leave them to it. Oh, we've already, with a single move, effectively decorruptified the place as well, down to a mere 7 vampiric corruption. Ooh, and a free talisman of preservation. That will actually come in very handy. Alright, more buffs for our Necropolis Knights, and there it is. The long victory has been achieved with some nice rewards. Wins a magic power reserve capacity plus 20, and, well, the campaign movement range minus 10 for enemy armies starting in our regions isn't too bad. The free spell intensity, I wouldn't be turning my nose up at either. Anyway, this place will have to construct different things, and I'm glad that we got to keep the Pyramid of King Amenemhotep, and that also gave us hero capacity plus 1 for all heroes, which is nice. Now, out of curiosity, what did this unlock? Curse of Grief for the Screaming Skull Catapults, Champion Souls for the Necropolis Knights, more damage, terror, and charge versus large. Hello, a buff for the Tomb Guard. Yes, all of our, well, not all, but most of our armies will benefit from this. 10% physical resistance and 25% increase to their melee defense. Alright, it just makes them even tougher to bring down, which does make sense. So far, I'm loving the buff for the Sepulchral Stalkers. Just the replenish ammunition alone is useful, but powering up their range attacks even further is magnificent. Trust me, I have to use all my willpower not to just fill every single army with Sepulchral Stalkers because I love the unit so much. So, yeah, anyway. I guess it's a new turn, eh? Well, a long victory may be achieved. We do have 2 more books to find as our real victory condition, so we still got to, well, we still got to get a move on. Anyway, Settra, you're gonna take the Bone Gulch, I presume, with an auto-resolve. I don't imagine that there should be that much here. I mean, there's some stuff, but it's not worthy of Settra's army's attention, let's face it. And while the auto-resolve may hate us, we know what would happen if they came into contact with Settra's army. Now, Panet. Looks like the Zandri army did not, in fact, move southward, which is kind of interesting. I was honestly perfectly happy to give all of these territories to Zandri. They're not going to, you know, super hate us if we take their territory and then peace out and then vassalize them. Assuming they're willing to vassalize, which we will have to see. Katep, are you immediately? You're not immediately able to go to Temple of Walat. Well, hopefully we don't then immediately lose Zandri, but I don't imagine we will. We know that they had another full stack somewhere around here, just... Well, we'll find it eventually, I'm sure. Setep, you're gonna move to Karashi Dunes. And at least this way you can intercept any of the other armies from these guys. Wakaf, you're gonna immediately hit Barracks of the Contour. Yeah, it looks like one of them went that way. Alright, I'll resolve this. Much more damage than the actual fight against 4 of their stacks, but you know, fair enough. And now the dead rise, because don't they always? Well, their dead do, our dead never rise. But what can you do? Yeah, go for the Mausoleum, why not? And we'll keep these, at least for now, but then we'll delete them later on. Frankly, we do want the defenses, but we could just build that there. Keeper, alright, you're fine as you are. You can... Oh, you already have Vicious Curses. That's the thing that I cared about here. And I noticed that we can see this army. Why can we see this army? I don't like it. Why can we see this location at all? Oh, it's because of the gold idols. Okay, yeah. Ever since that book, that increased our turn times. That's one of the things they did anyway. It did... Yeah... We do have gold idols and wine here, but yeah, I'm perfectly happy with Zandri holding this portion of the coastline. Maybe with the possible exception of this place, because we have the book there, and I'd love to head there immediately, but I'm not entirely sure where to send Panet right now. And they can't reach us here. You know what, Panet? Go into ambush stance in the middle of these 3 locations. You're gonna have to intercept somebody, but right now you're completely surrounded by enemies, which means you're kind of in a deadlock as to where you might possibly proceed. Alcazar, you're gonna quickly take the Lost Archway of Valea. I was about to say lost no longer, but yeah, they're still very much lost to the dwarfs, so yeah. And... Really? This? We just fought twice as much of this with... Why does the auto-resolve hate us? Alrighty. This feels like it's not worthy of our attention either. Maybe we'll just move Hakor in for an auto-resolve there. We know that Hakor would obliterate them. We know that Alcazar would obliterate them because he just won 2 armies led by Arbol. 1 against, rather. So this should be of no problem. Hey, free Helm of Discord, though. Definitely worth our time there. Alrighty. And wait, who picked up that Helm of Discord? Was it... Oh. We should get you some items as well, but for now you guys just sit here. You can proceed back that way. Alrighty. I'm sure there will be other rats to take in. Oh, look at you, Belagar, trying to opportunistically take back 8 peaks after we've done the work, but I don't think so, buddy. Yo. I would like you to go right to the edge of where we won't suffer attrition. And then afterwards, proceed to helping out against the orcs, which appear to be moving even further into our vassals' territory. Alright. Come on now. You. Scorpion King. Move up, and then Entomb Beneath the Sands will start moving closer to Malice's territory. Oh! Would you look at that? He's right there himself at Bitter Grove. I guess we'll be fighting them next turn then with Lamash. And then the Scorpion King can land and help out. These guys are still strength rank 7 or whatever it was? Yeah, they are. Man, I can't believe they're strength rank 7 with 8 settlements. How the heck do they manage that? Do they just have a billion armies? How are you so strong? What the heck? They're the strongest non-Slaaneshi and non-Us faction on the map, and the Slaaneshi factions are bugged, which is why they're that strong. Look at that. They're stronger than the Ice Score despite having way, way less settlements. And no allies to speak of. This is interesting. I want to see what they've got going on over there. Anyway, flip up. Keep going. You've got places to be, sir. Khalida, you kind of have places to be as well. You can hit up Chipped Tooth. I was really hoping to run into a full stack from these guys. Oh, would you look at that? Now we can auto-resolve the garbage little armies without half our... Okay, the Tomb Prince is still dying, but... Oh man, we might actually have to get rid of the Tomb Prince from this army as well if it's going to keep being silly like this. It's doing to the Tomb Prince, and I guess this Necrotech, but why is it only doing it to this Necrotech? I don't understand. But anyway, it's doing to this Tomb Prince what it was doing to those poor units of Tomb Barks. Ugh. Yeah, the auto-resolve really doesn't like Khalida's army. But what can you do? Jocht, go to Khemri. You're going to start recruiting a new army. And Sahaket, you are going to meet up with Mr. Kotep. So I guess go around this way. We could, in theory, might actually be faster to land here. At the land bridge. Ah. And then move this way. Yeah. This is a ford, right? This is a crossing? I think so. I believe so. Anyway, you're very close to Kotep now, so you're going to deliver him his extra little piles of Tomb Guard, and we'll fix up his army. We got 5 more turns until we get his second and last casket of souls as well. Anyway, who still needs to move? Just the keepers and the princes or the heroes, that's the one. Not super important. You're going to come down here, you're going to go find that other book for us. Oh, I was originally going to have you scout out the Zandri guys. Ah, they're fine. I'm sure they're fine. And they're about to lose all their territory anyway, and much as I'd hate to destroy them, we needed that long victory. Can't end the campaign without it. Anyway, Red Cloud Mountains, Karagarud, yes to the upgrade. Ooh, looks like it actually costs money now. Not that that matters to us. You can go for the refurbished workshop, and then obviously keep going for those hidden sanctums. We've barely any admin left anyway. Grand Pyramid, we have the... I don't know, go for the Necro Sphinx and the War Sphinx statue. Huh, did I forget something? Oh, it reset. It's okay. The list got reset in terms of its order, and it kind of screwed me over. Anyway, Necropolis, go. West Barrier Idols. Ah, North and West Barrier Idols, good. Grand Pyramid here. Yeah, just build it up. And do we need defenses here? Is this too close to the coastline? It is not too close to the coastline at all. Alright, so you're fine as you are then. And then here we can do... Let's do the Hyro Titan statue and... does it do anything again? It doesn't really. Yeah, alright, fine. Do the, I don't know, Necro Sphinx statue this time. Broken Teeth. What do we have here? Oh, we're not keeping the place, so we don't really care about it, but build some defenses. Oh, actually, speaking of, keeping the places and whatnot, Shakalot's lair, first of all, build up the quicksand swamp, and then this place, build this. Shakalot's lair and Skull Splitter's hold are either one. Minus 13, minus 46, for the love of... Okay. Just build this, and then hopefully one of these will allow for the vassalization. Come on, Imric. What's up with all this, what's with all this independence, man? You gotta bow to the King of Kings. Anyway, West Barrier Idols I started, but then, yeah, we can't do anything about right now, so yeah. Iron Peaks we can, by and large, ignore in theory, by virtue of the fact that we will obviously be transferring it, but we may as well build some stuff there for when we transfer to our allies. They can do what they will with it, and I don't really care if this place falls, so we're just gonna ignore it. It was originally earmarked to be traded to Zandri anyway. And Gashazar, you're waiting for tier 5 so we can get those green skulls up and running. Not sure I care that much about them, but whatever. And then Blistering Peaks. And what do we have here? Sempit, Spike Peak. Yeah, keep building up the upgrades, defenses, whatever. All for being traded. And, it's weird that it's exactly 16,000. There's no way that it's maxed out, actually, at 16,000, right? There isn't. It would be such a weird number. I saw that Alcazar needed items. So, wait. Was it you that needed items? Okay, you definitely... Oh, wait. You have that crippled application, which I do like, meaning we should maybe forgo Ouroboros and give you the armor of eternity instead. And what do you have for your talisman? Okay, let me just take a look here. Not Hakor. Hakor is already maxed out on items. You, Alcazar. So yeah, you can keep the Blade of Antar Hak, replace the Helm of Discord with the nice armor of eternity for regeneration, Talisman of Protection, 5 ward save, and then you can keep the Potion of Healing. Well, actually, wait. Is Potion of Healing inferior to... Let me just see here. 50 heal per second for 60 seconds versus... What do we have here? Hieratic Jar gives us 75 heal per second for 30 seconds. Oh, it's a... it's for the priests, alright. I guess you can keep the healing potion for the healing cap. Man, does this army have poison sources? Honestly, it might be... Ouroboros might still be better. Yeah, the melee defense -5 is nice, and I don't disagree that the mass... Oh, well, actually, the mass reduction might really help if you're, you know, on those chariots of yours. Alright, fine, keep it. I guess. But the Talisman of Preservation probably needs to be replaced. Alright, fine, fair enough. Enchanted items. Vambraces of the... No, wrong one. Talismans. Alright, we do have the Amulet of Fasta. This gives us a armor and missile block chance hex. Now, the missile block chance hex... I mean, I guess I could help the Skeleton Archer chariots. Maybe we give this to this guy. He is a chariot lord. Who else would have an Amulet of Fasta, right? It's silly, but I like it. Yeah, why not? Why the heck not? Otherwise, it's going to bother me to have a purple item that we didn't give anybody, even if it's kind of... I mean, the hex is actually really nice, so, yeah, you know. Amulet of Fasta for you, sir. There you go. Now you have regen and the hunger, and you can hold on to the Potion of Healing, because I don't want the poison to override the crippled. Too bad that we can't have both, but all good. And, oh, you have a Charnel Valley Necrotect as well as the... You have 4 Emblems of Withering. We could pop a 5th in there, if we should desire it. Since we are using Sword Tomb Guard, we could also pop in a Banner of Eternal Flame, which would help them dish out more damage, but frankly, it might be that we need help holding the line more than we do that. I'm gonna pop in the Banner of Eternal Flame for now, and if we need an extra, we can always take it from you. Better than nothing. Also pop a War Banner on the casket, make it even nastier. The reload time could still use work. I will think about it. For now, let's just, wait. Is there anything else that we need to do this turn, or are we good? I think we're good to end the turn, aren't we? Alright, yeah, alright. We are besieging nowhere, correct? Oh, there's the army. I lost sight of it, but where are you gonna go from here? You got nowhere to run. You really should have accepted Settra's mercy. Anyway, skip. Commandment available where? Yeah, sure, go for Worship of SF. And then turn. A new regional power, Exiles of Khorne. How dare you be a regional power? How dare you exist in the same world as Settra? They're unfortunately a little bit too far from us to bother with, though. And let's face it, no regional power survives contact with Settra for long. Hello! We were waiting for you guys. Where have you been? And finally you moved towards Khalida on your own. Wall fails, Broken Axe, Scaling and World Walkers Confed. There's that Enchanted Shields. Now we got a power up for all Tomb Guard faction wide. Let's start on the buffs for Arcarians since they'll be in combat soon, and let's send Khalida into a fight. Alright, so Tomb Prince has 14 points, fair bit. Conqueror and hard to hit for obvious reasons. Again, if you're wondering why he has so many points, it's because A, we've auto-resolved some, but B, Khalida was recruiting and then moving for a while, which meant that all those extra turns that he was just racking up the free XP that we have from all those sanctums that we've been building. Over my dead body into Woundmaker, Desert Strike, and max out hard to hit and Blade Master. Alright, what about the Necrotects? Empower the Titans and spring the Trap into a true Grandmaster. Those are the only ones we need here, so we can go Trapped Soul, Ceremonial Bandages, We Are the Elite into Indomitable Will, and Hard to Hit. And then the same thing with you. Alright. True Grandmaster, Trapped Soul, Ceremonial Bandages, We Are the Elite, Indomitable Will, Hard to Hit, 1 point in Conqueror, and soon into Tombstrike. Lastly, the Lich Priest. And what are we looking at? Should probably move towards Vicious Curses, eh? Alright. Runic Staff it is, then Incantation of Preservation, and Miscast Reduction into Vicious Curses, as well as, I mean, we should... Yeah, let's go start moving through Winds of Time. Well, maybe we get a second point in New Sex. How much points do we have? Yeah, we have enough points to get whatever we want, more or less. Yeah, alright, fine. Do this, and we still want Trapped Souls and Ceremonial Bandages, frankly, but it's all good. Alright, let's see if these guys are willing to fight. And they came here, after all. Hey, indeed they are. Pyrrhic Victory casualties high. Once again, that's a lot of physical resistance that they've got here. See how well that works out for them. Plus, they got 4 Bone Clubbers. Not bad. Lots of trolls and all that. And good luck, Khalida. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Looks like we've got ourselves a choke point battle, which is kind of interesting. We have Stalk and Snipe on our 4 Bone Giants in this particular army, so the choke point, well, it does work in their favor, but, well, it's not like they would normally need much protecting. Again, which is why we went to build them with Stalk and Snipe. Mostly because I find the idea kind of entertaining. At least I think it works. It's honestly sometimes kind of hard to tell, because I see these guys don't have hidden on them right now. In theory they should. It says Stalk and Snipe, but I can never tell whether it's working. And the enemy, I mean, we haven't had the chance to allow the enemy to move towards them. All good, though. Anyway, they're going to start by focusing down Boar Boys and units of enemy trolls with those great bows of theirs. Although, frankly, with the enemy blobbed up in these choke points and the technology that we've got that allows us for additional splash damage on the Bone Giants, and that's going to be a lot of damage to basically everything. Otherwise, we blocked out both of the choke points with the Sandstone Serpents and the other units of Sepulchral Stalkers, so the enemy large units are going to take a lot of heavy range fire as they move in, which is pretty fun. And appropriate for Khalida's army as well. There we go, and as soon as the enemy's charge is broken upon our spearmen, we send in the units of Necropolis Knights on both sides, with of course Khalida as usual leading the Venom Knights of Asaph into the fray. She herself will head directly towards the second enemy lord, the Savage Orc Great Shaman, as I believe the first enemy lord has at this point been severely damaged. Or was that, wait, or was that later? I don't know. Anyway, the Bone Giants are doing work. I think they killed a hero or a lord. They did something. But I'm sure Khalida will have no problem in killing off a Savage Orc Great Shaman here. She does have magical damage, 146 melee attack when her Desert Strike is up. And 1.1 weapon strength, pretty solid as well. Alright, and the enemy shaman's down to a mere 20% of his HP and is booking it on out of there. The serpents are having a grand time obliterating all the enemies. And the choke point over on the right flank, as that's where Khalida and the Venom Knights are concentrated. We're having a little bit more of a tough time on the left flank in terms of obliterating enemies, but that's just fine, or as it should be. And I think I just saw one of the Bone Giant arrows kill off a Necropolis Knight unit. But what can you do? Yeah, I see the Tomb Guard that fell off the Necro Serpent down there. Huh, 2 of them. Okay, we gotta be careful of those Bone Giants. I'm gonna retarget them as much as we can to the Boar Boys and put a Vortex in front of them. They shouldn't run into it, and that should give us a little bit more time to snipe them. Like so, without putting our own units in danger. Anyway, the enemy reinforcements are obviously coming in on this side of the map, which is why we deployed Khalida over here. I was thinking we'd destroy these enemies a little bit faster and then just move everybody to this side, which is still the plan. It's just taking a little bit longer than I had originally anticipated. And, maybe it isn't working. Okay, so I just saw the enemy hit the Bone Giant back while you should be in stock and snipe. This unit can move hidden in any terrain. This unit remains hidden while firing, so am I doing something wrong here? If anyone can explain to me why the Bone Giants aren't hidden, maybe it just doesn't work on them. I'm not entirely sure. Well, if it doesn't, we'll maybe try it a couple more times, and if it genuinely still doesn't work, I will maybe swap out the, well, not the Bone Giants, because I like them in this army, but I will swap out the banners and give them the ones that make them fire further and hit harder. Why not? Oh, good. Anyway, enemy lord is moving towards him, and we've retargeted all 4 of the Bone Giants at him. It's actually a fairly decent thing to do with things like Bone Giants, because you can sort of target the center of the enemy's blob as long as the enemy lord is within the center. So, it works pretty well for us. And plus you can snipe the enemy lord. There we go. I don't think he was even able to get up from getting hit by those arrows. And with that, the enemy army shatters. The battle is done, and the choke point held. We suffered comparatively little damage to everybody except this one unit of summoned Sacral Serpents, but they always get hurt because they have no melee defense. I'm actually surprised that Khalida can only summon them once. I figured, I don't know, maybe she should have the ability to summon them 3 times. It's not like they're insanely strong or anything. They're fragile, they have very little melee defense. It's not like it would be an overpowered ability. Mostly I just want to, you know, have the ability to, well, I guess she can build them as well, can't she? Not just summon them. So mostly I just wanted more snakes. All good though. A lovely little choke point fight. Alrighty, there we go. We did lose a few Necropolis Knights. The Riders of Kua, for example, lost 3 of their number, but I think that was actually mostly from stray shots from the Bone Giants, rather than from the enemy, whose kills are pretty limited, though it's hard to tell which of them are from the skeleton warriors or spears, and which of them are from the summoned skeleton warriors or spears. Otherwise, we did fantastically well. The Bone Giants provided that lovely archer support that an SF army is hankering for, and it looks like roughly 29k damage on all of them, at least close to it. 25k, 27k, they all did well. Oh, I should probably name some of you. Anyway, yeah, these guys at least went towards us, though they didn't manage to achieve anything with it. We will hunt them down in a second. And then I imagine this faction is in pretty bad shape, if not outright broken. They kind of failed at the Gate of the Stars when we sallied out and destroyed their main force, and there's probably not much else that we can do about it. Ooh, glittering scales. Huh. Actually wanted that for a specific army composition, though I'm not entirely sure we'll have time anymore. Ooh, you're moving... Ah. I don't want you moving towards this place. I don't know whether he can take it, but I would prefer that he did not. For obvious reasons. That's the place with the Ushabti landmark. Grognog? Grognok, rather? Alright, let's take Grognok out. You can just pick at random, more or less. I'm not going to take any of these Zandri ones, mostly, because the Zandri ones, I mean, we're still hoping to not completely outright destroy them, just to vassalize them. Anyway, kill this. Auto-resolve. Let's see what this does to our poor Tomb Prince. Yep. And again, the second necrotech. Why is it doing that? It never hurts the first one. It always obliterates the second one. Why? It doesn't make any sense to me. What the heck is going on here? It's so bizarre. And they're the same type of necrotech, right? Just to double check. You have Genius Architect, 48-41, and you also have Genius Architect. Okay, so you have 4 less melee attack than the other guy does, but you're both on chariots. I don't know what the deal is here. Other than the auto-resolve hating us, but just generally speaking. Anyway, ooh, Kalita, you can go to Cracked Molar, but I'm willing to bet that it won't let you auto-resolve it, unfortunately. Maybe something I do between the episodes, though. If I remember. Presuming I remember. Oh, we can auto-resolve it. I guess the fact that you have 1 HP doesn't matter. Yeah, oftentimes it'll take them down to 1 HP, but then the auto-resolve won't kill them off after. So it's almost like they programmed that into it, knowing how screwy auto-resolve is, and just left that functionality in there. Imrek, you ready to confed now? Let's see. Skull Splitter's Hold and Shakalot Slayer. Shakalot Slayer? No. Skull Splitter's Hold? Yes, okay. You can have that then. We don't need your money. Frankly, you need our money. There you go. Now you're in, again, you're in 50,000 wars. And you can immediately have Shakalot Slayer as well. Might as well complete your province. Enjoy, buddy. There you go. Needed a bit of help here. Ooh, yeah, okay, we're gonna give you some gold. What the heck? Why aren't you building some elite armies? It might be that he's had these armies for a long time, so he hasn't had a chance to re-up them. The AI does have a tendency to do that on occasion, where it, as long as it doesn't lose its old armies, it never builds new units to replace the old units. And then when you kill those old armies, suddenly it gets better units. We're in a new... yeah, okay, fine. I just started doing everything out of order, which made me go like, wait, we're in a new turn? What the heck? Anyway, you go to the Barrow of Malice. I'm hoping that Settra gets a fight at the Vaults of Plenty, which will be a tier 5. Hopefully they even have a stack out there. Oh, we're gonna have to move to Ordinar's lair as well, which is kind of out of the way. Alright, well, gotta do what you gotta do. Alcazar, you're gonna proceed to Skull Chasm, which you can hopefully auto-resolve. Hackcore moves back this way. And again, I'm doing it out of order, ain't I? Alright, auto-resolve this. Hold on to... I don't know. Put it on. No, I was about to say put it on Alcazar himself, but he's not. Yeah, just auto-resolve it. He's not there to support the main line typically, as he's doing his own thing, and then you go this way. And I will probably trade a bunch of these territories between the episodes, though we are very, very near to the end of the campaign now. Or at least, well... I don't know, it depends on how many turns it takes to get to where we need to go. Now you... we will try to hunt down. You go near Wadi al-Mutzil, though these guys might be moving into one of these places. Probably should have built defenses here at Hashishin's lair. Let's provide Sepulchral Stalker Garrison if we upgrade it. This one kind of terrible. Alright, let's do this. Oh, the other reason was to potentially give it to these guys. Right. Okay, well that hasn't changed, to be honest. Settra. Okay, wait. Are you able to take Malalik Dunes? Not with that army. I don't think so. Settra, do you need to fight this? We have piles of garbage, but... actually, you got some good stuff here. Maybe. Alright. We'll have to deal with you in a bit. Let us first move Wakaf to Library of Hereptus. And we are keeping these territories auto-resolve. Obviously, it's going to do insane amounts of damage to our poor melee line because the game hates us. And we've gotten used to it, at least to some degree. We don't actually need defenses here, so I'm not going to continue upgrading it. There's no need. And these guys are on the way out. Oh, would you look at that? They want peace now. Maybe they shouldn't have canceled our agreements and all that. Rakash. Yes, go find some orcs. Huh, actually, wait. You're going to be in range of Ashok the Bloody, which is a worky faction, but we don't actually want you to be in range of him yet, actually. Because he needs you have places to be is what I'm getting at. Yeah, there you go. A little bit safer. I'm perfectly happy to fight this little army if necessary, but otherwise we gotta book it on up here to save these guys from the orcs and maybe take Warband out and give the Black Claw lair to these guys. Give it back before either Teclis or Balthazar Gelt takes it. It's not theirs. Anyway, you are going to land and are now free to land here in Lamash. Alright. Out of those two battles, I'm willing to bet that we only have time for one in this episode, and if we have time for one, I gotta go with this one. The Terracotta Automatons and the Ushabti against Malice Darkblade. I've been waiting on this one. Malice, time for war. Is there any reason to be up here? No, not really. It's just for fun. We've acquired long victory. We're just waiting on the books, but for now we'll just, you know, do some fun fights because we can. Oh, I never gave you full items, did I? All right, we could do that as well before we get you in there. Now, what are you missing? I think you're not missing anything, are you? Okay, get Returned in Madness for the additional physical resistance, just because, you know, you never know when you get wrecked. Yeah, you just have Ushabti and potentially range units, and there is nothing else that you would benefit from here. Alright, fair enough. Indomitable Will, I guess we'll need to get you hard to hit as a priority. In theory, you're a ranged lord, so you shouldn't need any of it, but, you know, decent likelihood that you still get forced to fight in melee on occasion. Necrotect. Alright, so you have strengthened incantations, which was the main thing, and then we'll grab, I guess, Empower the Titans. It doesn't really matter. Let's go ceremonial bandages and all that. And frankly, we don't need any further capacity, so we're good on that. Let's get We Are the Elite, though, because facing off against the Dark Elves is pretty likely that we get pin-cushioned by stuff. They do like that sort of thing. And I guess we could do the same thing with you. We Are the Elite. Oh, should have maxed out increased mobility then. Oh, good. And strengthened incantations, empower the Titans, a true Grand Master, ceremonial bandages and trapped soul, into starting to go through hard to hit. Lastly, the Lich Priest. Alright, you're the Lich Priest of Light, so we don't have the Skullstorm to rely upon in your army, as we do in others. Light of Battle... I mean, the spell resistance on occasion might be useful. And I don't dislike the immunity to contact effects, which I take it to the regular Ushabti do not have. Ooh, look at those stats. And they're climbing. Nice to see. All right, let's get the second point in both of those. You can also grab Keeper of Lore. Doesn't actually do that much for us, but at the very least the additional power, or the magic power. And yeah, pin cushioning. Let's be wary of that. Trapped Soul, and then maybe start moving through Runic Staff. Probably could have gone through Onslaught, but, you know, all good. Anyway, you, Lamash, since you're a range lord, is there anything that we can actually get you that would help you? I guess the Collar of Shakara at least would give you Barrier. You already have a contact effect, so Dampened would be nice, but it doesn't actually do anything for you. Alright, so let's get you a Collar of Shakara. And we can't do Ouroboros because it would... Well, actually, wait. So your contact effect is blinded, which is a really nice contact effect, I agree. However, I think that poison might actually be better here, because it'll slow enemies down as they move towards you. And also, in that light, I think Mr. Lich Priest here, we're going to give you the Tormentor's Sword that we got the other time. Did we not get it? Oh, it's a green item now. I'm still used to it, the old version of it. Tormentor Sword, yes. Would be nice to actually pick up a few of these. But yeah, more time for the Ushabti with Great Bow to fire upon you, since we went for the Net of Amantok in this particular army. Anyway, yeah, back to Lamash here. Maybe we should overwrite the Blinded then. Admittedly, it's our only source of it, I think, in our entire faction. And we don't really need the regen and all that. On a range, well, I mean, we might, that's the thing. When we do, we do. Anyway, just to double check, does anything here help you out at all in terms of range damage? I think we need to just try to find a... Oh, actually, you know what? We got that Briar Sheath on you that gives you the physical resistance. I don't dislike the snipe and stalk and stuff that you've got going. But is there any need for it on you? Because since the rest of your army doesn't have any of it, does this actually benefit you in any way? I'm tempted to just give him the scintillating shield to get the massive barrier and help him out in a shootout, even though Briarsheath feels like it makes more sense for one of these guys. Wait, did we have a spare Ouroboros? We did not. Alright, screw it. For now, let's just do the Collar of Shakara and then just give him an Ouroboros and then I will think about it. Yeah, and this gives us a little bit more barrier, so if we wanted to stack barrier on him, even though he's not a mage, then we could certainly do so. Where is that? Do the Ouroboros for now. Alright. And I really wish that the game had a mechanic where you could choose which contact effect was applied when, you know, when there's like a billion and they all overwrite each other. It's kind of silly that you can't. Like, why are you being forced to coat your weapon in poison or your arrows in poison rather than whatever the heck you were applying to your arrows before to blind jerks? You know what I mean? Yeah. And oh wait, I did want to check whether you have any kind of weapon that would be beneficial to you as a ranged guy. I'm pretty sure that you don't. Like, we haven't gotten anything useful. Nothing that buffs range damage, right? Yeah, not really. I'll just give you this sort of anti-heroes for now, just for the enables magical attacks. Alright, good enough for me. Let's move on in and fight Malice real quick before we run out of time. It is Malice himself, after all. We've got a Pyrrhic victory, medium casualties here. Let's find out. Alrighty, here we go. King Lamash and his Ushabti army versus Malice Darkblade. Let's see how we do here. And we now have a full pile of construct infantry in the form of those terracotta automatons. I think they look a little bit better in the on the desert terrain where they don't quite stand out as much because they have that different sort of yellowish golden glow compared to the sort of soul glow that we've got on our undead units. But anyway, I did want to make sure that we had as much of a construct army as possible. Plus, I imagine these guys are going to be pretty darn effective because that restore that we have works on them and just as well as it does on our units. Well, maybe not just as well because they have, well, alpha damage will still, or high alpha damage like the single shots from the enemy artillery pieces will still knock them out. But anyway, I digress. Malice Darkblade is moving towards us. He's taken about 60% of his damage on his way to us, and as soon as he gets closer, or as soon as he takes sufficient amounts of damage, he uses the Sarkhan transformation. Unfortunately for him, that's what we were waiting for. As soon as he transforms with Sarkhan, we hit him with the Net of Amantok and prevent him from moving, so he can't close the distance and use his abilities. And then we move our mage forward and activate the Tormentor's Sword, make sure that Malice can do no damage and can't get into melee, and bring him down at range. Malice is one of the, you know, tankiest lords and fightiest lords in the game in many ways. Especially as long as he has enemy units to heal off of when he's in Sarkhan form, so we certainly don't want him to take advantage of it. Anyway, there we go. The battle is truly joined now. Two of the enemy artillery pieces are knocked out, and now Ushabti with the Great Bow are doing their best to focus down that enemy Bloodrack Medusa, who, after a couple more hits, will be brought down, so no more railguns. Enemy is doing its best to pincushion our own forces with the piles of dark shards that they have, that we are doing our best to fire upon, but unfortunately, being outnumbered nearly 2-1, the enemy does have a fair few cavalry units as well. A unit of Cold One Knights as well as a unit of Harpies have closed the distance all the way on our right flank in an attempt to charge our artillery, and we've had to reposition one of our units of Ushabti and terracotta automatons to try to hold them off. Unfortunately, while those guys were busy, more units of cavalry have arrived. A unit of Dark Riders has similarly closed the distance with the Screaming Skulls and the Casket, and thus we had to pull off a unit of Ushabti from the melee line in order to protect them. Unfortunately, as soon as we do that, yet another unit of Dark Riders moves on in. We'll have to move those Ushabti back. The Dark Riders are, luckily for us, fairly fragile, but they do have a solid amount of melee attack and charge bonus at 58 to 99, especially with the murderous prowess active on them, so we can't let them get too many hits in. And on top of that, the second unit of Cold One Knights, high tier, I might add, has arrived with 101 melee attack, 97 charge, 80 weapon strength, hitting almost as hard as Ushabti, despite the fact that they have 48 units rather than 12. Looking pretty good, however. Despite all of that, the balance of power is at about 85% in our favor. We've been holding the left flank with just one unit of terracotta automatons and one unit of Ushabti this entire time, and a necrotech there to help them out, though the necrotech has been taking damage from the enemy missile fire for quite a while now. And speaking of the enemy missile fire, while we had all that dancing in the back line with the enemy cavalry, most of our Ushabti with Greatbow, since they weren't being targeted by the cav nearly as much as the artillery were simply firing away at the enemy dark shards and reducing them to bloody spots on the ground. It looks like the last two dark shards that remain, of the ones that were protected by this copse of trees from us firing upon them with the Ushabti, were the last units still in the fight. As they shatter, the rest of Malice's army shatters, and with that, the battle is ours. Very nice. Alright, was a little bit touch and go there in the center for a little bit of a while. Perhaps knowing that we were outnumbered, I should have spread out the terracotta automatons and the Ushabti from each other, rather than using them, together as blobs, as infantry and monstrous infantry together. Yes, they're a lot more effective in that way, but again, we do need to be able to protect our artillery. Though again, I'm still thinking about phasing out the, non-construct units, as in the non-construct artillery out of this army. But I digress. A lovely little fight. We'll see more from Lamash versus Hagreif. Alrighty, there we go. We were certainly on the verge of being overrun there for a little bit, but it looks like we managed to hold off and protect our fragile artillery pieces. Again, probably would be better to just replace them with the Ushabti or with Bone Giants, things that can essentially defend themselves. But again, I'm kind of disinclined to get rid of heavily, well, A, not the casket, but B, the highly ranked up veteran troops, regardless of what they are and whether they still fit in. Still, we did well. One of the terracotta automatons at 18k did very lovely damage. In fact, out-damaged the Ushabti with twin blades in this particular case. Now, this unit was all the way on the left flank, where it was fighting a bunch of units on the most dangerous position on the battlefield, so it does make sense. For the Ushabti with great bow at 29,000, no, at 34,000 damage. One of the unnamed ones just slightly beat out, right, we named the Ushabti with great bow in the other army, not this one, funnily enough, despite this being the Ushabti army. And then we did name the melee Ushabti here, and for them, it's the Singing Blades of Joff, and bringing death in the name of the Death God. Lovely. Well, one of them. Alright, Joff is the war god, Usirian is the death god. Yeah. Anyway, we are, well, that's also appropriate. Anyway, we are good. Malice, unfortunately, got absolutely no mileage out of Tarkan transformation or anything. And, oh, wow. This is a useless trait. Oh, in fact, it's a bad trait to have on Lamash. He's a ranged guy. So the loss of armor isn't a good thing on him. And the melee damage doesn't help. Though he does hit reasonably hard in melee. And maybe we gonna go for that barrier on him after all. Anyway, with that, now we're out of time. Next time, we'll try to get a few more battles against Malice with the Scorpion army and the Ushabti army. He doesn't have a lot of settlements, but that does mean we probably don't have very far to travel, don't have very far to look in order to get those settlements that we want. Otherwise, we will finish up with Arbal and the orcs down there, as well as hopefully Zandri and the Cult of Mordig. Start to really booking it towards those, well, books, as we do want to get 8 out of 8, and now that we have long victory. Anyway, stay tuned for a little bit more Settra as we move towards the end of the campaign. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below if you've been enjoying the run of the King of Kings. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.